Hello everyone, my name is Hugo and welcome back to my channel. I said a few times in previous videos that I'm not a big fantasy reader, but I really want to be, because I always hear people talk about it with such passion or love that I really want to get into the genre. So today I'm gonna cover 10 books or maybe some or the whole series that I really want to read from the fantasy genre. So without further ado, let's just get into it. First of all, I'm gonna talk about the book that I'm currently reading, and I'm loving it, which is why I'm doing the video, because I've read fantasy before, but I never loved it as much, and I always thought it was a genre, but probably was just the books. The first book I'm gonna talk about is the one I'm currently reading, which is the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I'm reading the first one, Final Empire. I'm loving it, which is why I'm doing the video, because I think this will be the one that gets me into the genre. What is it about? It's about a crew that will be trying to overthrow the evil almighty world ruler or something like that, and there's a cool magic system involving metals and different powers with different metals and so on. Is that a good description? Probably not. But yeah, I can't really get into it. I also rarely ever read like the full what's called summary on or synopsis on Goodreads, for example, because when I start reading a book I want to know as little as possible, because then I think I might get a better experience. Yeah. Then I think I might get a better experience about out of it. So probably this video will be quite useless if you're looking for recommendations, except for titles, because I rarely know really what the books are about. So yeah, sorry about that. Second one I'll talk about is I don't own a copy. Second one I talk about I don't own a copy of. It's Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. Yeah, I hear really great things about it. It's about someone becoming the greatest wizard of all time, something like that. I read the Goodreads synopsis for this one. It was quite long and I didn't understand the thing, but I hear really good things about it, so that's why it's on my list. Third one I also don't own is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I posted a post on a subreddit asking for recommendations to get into fantasy, and that one popped up quite a lot. Obviously I've heard of Neil Gaiman. I never read anything by him though, so I think that's also a great place to start. It sounds like a romance book at first, with someone trying to get a star or stardust for his lover, but to do it he has to go to a strange, dangerous land and probably do stuff that's cool. So yeah, sounds interesting, I guess. Next is the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan and finished by Brandon Sanderson. I only own the 10th book because I found it in a thrift store. I don't know what's it about. I assume it's about time travel of some sort, and I love time travel. And I also follow Daniel Green and hear him talk about it with such passion that I think it can't be bad, right? But it's very long. It's like 13, 14, I don't know, books. So it's probably not something that's high on my priority because it is so long. I'd rather have a trilogy to start with, or standalone books, even better. Next up, I have The Last Wish by Andrei Hang on. Next up, I have The Last Wish by Andrei Sapkowski. I actually started this and I got to page 94 and then I DNF'd it because I didn't like it, but I think it might be because I don't read fantasy and that it's just not a good place to start with. yeah, it's also short stories, this one, so I prefer full novels. I don't know, but I hear really great things about it, so I'm planning on picking it up again after I get into the genre more. Next up, the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, of course. This is the first one, the Gunslinger. I also don't really know what it's about. It's about someone following someone to the Dark Tower. And if you don't know, Stephen King's books all take place in the same universe or multiverse. And the characters here travel from the one universe to another. And there are a lot of references to his other books. So that's why I want to read it. But I also really want to read more of Stephen King's work before I start this. So it's also not that high on my priority list. Next up, I have the classic J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I probably first read The Hobbit because I hear it's much easier. It was supposed to be a children's book at first. And this one is really dense, and I hear it hasn't aged that well because the writing style is pretty difficult. But if I get into the genre fantasy, I think it's a must read because well, I don't want to say the foundation of everything, but it comes pretty close to it, I think. What next? Oh yeah, I also really want to read the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Here's the cover. The reason why this appeals to me is because it's fantasy, but it's a wizard's detective in the modern world, like our world. It takes place in Chicago, I think, and the idea of fantasy in the modern world, fantasy elements being a part of the modern world, sounds really interesting. So if you have recommendations like that, fantasy that takes place in the modern world, let me know, because I think that's more things for me than like medieval sort of stuff. I also want to read, because I'm liking Mistborn so much, well, I'm not even halfway through the first one, but I'm assuming I'm gonna like the rest as well. So really want to read the Stormlight archive, also by Sanderson. I hear that one's better than Mistborn actually, but it's very long. It's like 3 books of 1,000 pages. So yeah, but I hear it's better than Mistborn, and I've heard Brandon Sanderson saying himself that that's also like his favorite work of himself. So I think, yeah, I should definitely give it a chance. Last but not least, the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I never read any of the books. I've seen all the movies and I like them very much, but I never read the books. I don't know why. I just never read them. I think I never read them because they were so popular, and I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna read them too because everyone's reading them as a kid. And yeah, I think that's why I never read them, but I really want to, because they're such a big part of, yeah, well, they're just a big part of literature, and millions of people started reading because of Harry Potter, and I think I should give it a chance. I hope it hasn't aged that. I hope it's also good for adults and not just like for children. So yeah, those were 10 fantasy books or series that I really want to read in the future. Fantasy is not my go-to genre. I read more fantasy or horror, or just, yeah, mostly that. Fantasy or horror. Fantasy or horror, science fiction or horror. Those were 10 fantasy books or series that I really want to read in the future. Fantasy is not my go-to genre. As I said, I read much more science fiction or horror, but I really want to get into the genre. So I just did some research to some books that I really want to read, and those were like most of the time in books, in videos that that were saying read these if you want to get into fantasy, so which is why I chose them. If you have another recommendation, let me know in the comments. If you think one of the books shouldn't be on this list because it's not appropriate for a beginner, or just because it's straight up bad, also let me know, because I don't want to read something bad. But these are all pretty well received, so I think I'm good. Anything else? I don't think so. Oh yeah, sorry for the lack of content lately. I've been working a lot and haven't really got that much time to record a video. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Anyway, thank you for watching. Anyway, thank you for watching. Anyway, anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye.